The valve seal is in charge of keeping the oil out of the combustion chamber and cylinder head. Only a mixture of air and fuel was intended for the combustion chamber. Oil was never meant to be there. Heat-resistant rubber is used to make valve seals, which are housed inside a metallic ring. To securely seal the valve, this material is pressed up against it. Valve seal failure is uncommon, especially in engines that have been well maintained, but it is possible, especially in older engines. In this video, we'll go over the top signs of a bad valve seal as well as the function of these seals. We also display the potential cost of the replacement. It's the Car Problems YouTube channel. Subscribe and let's get started. Oil on spark plugs. You might see some oil on the tips of the spark plugs when you change them. This issue shows that oil entered the combustion chamber and congealed on the plugs. It might be a result of a broken turbocharger or a leaking valve seal. It transforms into a clay-like substance as it burns on the spark plug and stays there. In either case, you must first address the underlying problem before changing the spark plugs. Blue smoke from exhaust. The most typical sign of a bad valve seal is the beginning of blue smoke coming from the exhaust pipe. This particular symptom actually aids in figuring out whether the valve seals are damaged. Some initially mistake the blue smoke for a gray hue, but eventually, you ought to be able to see the bluish tint it has. The engine consumes and burns more oil in the combustion chamber as the intake valve seal begins to leak. The seal on an exhaust valve can also leak. Due to this issue, oil is forced through the exhaust pipe and turns into a blue smoke cloud. The blue smoke will deteriorate over time, especially when traveling at high speeds. Rough idle. Many different problems can also cause a rough idle. However, if a valve seal is faulty, oil may enter the combustion chamber where it shouldn't. A rough idle is caused by this issue, which changes the air-fuel mixture. It might worsen to the point where the engine stalls. High oil consumption. Some vehicles frequently use oil in between changes. It's useful to review manufacturer recommendations to determine how much oil consumption is typical. For instance, BMW claims that its engines could expend a quart of oil every 2,000 miles. GM adds that a quart can typically be consumed every 2,000 miles. However, other manufacturers say nothing about it. Unless the automaker specifies otherwise, you shouldn't be using more than a quart of oil between oil changes if your car has less than 50,000 miles on the odometer. The valve seals may not be working properly if you have to add oil more frequently. High oil consumption, however, is a problem that extends beyond faulty valve seals. Additionally, faulty, worn-out valve guides or a potential internal leak could be to blame. To ascertain whether the valve seals are to blame, oil consumption must be combined with additional symptoms. Decreased engine performance. Poor valve seals can impact engine performance for a variety of reasons. The spark plugs can foul in addition to the valves, which can drastically alter how the engine operates. Additionally, because oil is not supposed to pass through the catalytic converter, it could become clogged. You could be looking at a sizable repair bill if the catalytic converter needs to be replaced. This frequently occurs as a result of the oil burning inside the engine and the particles the oil releases during this process. Instead of burning off, they kind of adhere to the catalytic converter. Clogged or damaged catalytic converter. The purpose of the catalytic converter is to change exhaust gases into ones that are safer for the environment. It was never intended to burn oil that was released into the exhaust. Oil enters the exhaust system through faulty valve seals and eventually reaches the catalytic converter. The cat may consequently clog as a result. You don't need to worry about this right away, but it could happen if you let the valve seals continue to leak. You might need to replace the converter if it has been exposed to oil for an extended period of time, which can easily cost more than $1,000. How to diagnose. The most crucial diagnostic tool you have is keeping an eye out for the symptoms. Since it's difficult to check the valve seals, you should put the symptoms together piece by piece. Here is one simple method to think about. Test the vehicle's cold engine by letting it sit all night. The top of the head will still contain some oil from the last time the engine was running. If the valve seal is damaged, the oil will get past it. As a result, when you start the car, you will notice a lot of blue smoke. The best course of action is to seek the advice of a qualified mechanic if you are unsure how to determine whether the valve seals are damaged. Replacement cost. If all of the valve seals need to be replaced, cost could range from $250 to $200 on average. However, this cost is significantly influenced by the kind of vehicle you drive and the labor cost in your area. Since most valve seals cost $50 to $100, doing the job yourself will save you a ton of money. However, this is not a position for novices. The valve cover must be removed in order to replace the valve seals. In order to access the seals, the valve springs must also be removed. The cylinder chamber must be pressurized for this procedure. On the other hand, some models also call for the removal of the entire cylinder head. This process takes a lot of time, and if you don't know what you're doing, you could end up doing more harm. Hope the information was helpful for you. If so, please press the like button and subscribe to the channel.